Everyone's obsessing over Teslas and arguing about Rivians online, but there are electric vehicles out there, right now, sitting on dealer lots, that cost half as much and do 90% of what those expensive trucks do. Some have been around for years and nobody notices them. Others are so new that dealerships don't even know how to sell them yet. By the end of this list, you'll know which affordable EVs are actually worth your money, and why ignoring the hype might be the smartest move you make this year. 1. Nissan Leaf, 2023 plus models. Most people shopping for an affordable EV make the same mistake. They completely ignore the Nissan Leaf because it looks boring. And yeah, it absolutely looks boring. It looks like something a substitute teacher would drive. But that boring exterior is hiding something nobody talks about. This might be the most reliable, affordable EV you can actually buy today. The newer Leafs, 2023 and later, fix the nightmare that plagued older models. Those ancient battery packs that degraded faster than your phone? Gone. Nissan finally updated the battery chemistry and thermal management system. Range sits at 212 miles for the base model, and it's honest range. Not maybe if you drive 45 miles per hour with no climate control range. You know what mechanics will tell you about the Leaf? They barely see them for anything except tire rotations and cabin air filters. The simplicity is the whole point. There's no elaborate cooling system to fail, no air suspension to leak, just an electric motor doing its job without drama. Here's the controversial bit. CHAdeMO charging. The Leaf uses it instead of the CCS standard everyone else adopted. People love to predict CHAdeMO's death. They've been predicting it since 2019. Meanwhile, there are still thousands of CHAdeMO stations across the country, and if you charge at home like most EV owners, you'll use them maybe twice a year. Pricing starts around $29,000 after federal incentives. For that, you get ProPilot Assist, Nissan's adaptive cruise that's genuinely good, and a cabin that's nicer than it has any right to be. That's what you're really paying for. 2. Chevrolet Bolt EUV. A guy told me he test drove a Bolt EUV expecting to hate it. He's a car guy, the type who judges vehicles by 0 to 60 times in brand prestige. 45 minutes later, he put down a deposit. When I asked him why, he said something I wasn't expecting. It just made sense. The Bolt EUV, that's the slightly bigger version with actual back seat room, costs around $28,000 after tax credits. We're talking about 247 miles of EPA range in a package that doesn't apologize for being practical. The cargo space swallows groceries, luggage, whatever. The back seat fits actual adults, not just theoretical passengers. GM learned brutal lessons from the battery recall situation. Those new battery packs they installed? They're extending warranties instead of playing defense. That confidence matters. You don't extend warranties on something you think will explode. Charging speed tops out around 55 kilowatts, which sounds slow compared to newer EVs hitting 150 to 200 kilowatts. But stick with me here. If you plug in at home every night and never drain the battery below 20%, does fast charging speed actually matter for your daily life? Most people road trip twice a year, if that. Super Cruise comes on higher trims. That's hands-free highway driving, the same technology Cadillac charges a fortune for, available in a $28,000 electric crossover. The math is absurd. 3. Hyundai Kona Electric. You know what automotive journalists secretly admit when they're being honest? Half of them would buy the Kona Electric with their own money. Not a Tesla. Not some exotic European EV. This Hyundai. The 2024 redesign changed everything. Hyundai stopped trying to make the Kona look futuristic and just made it look good. The result? A normal-looking crossover that happens to be electric, which is exactly what most buyers actually want. Range hits 261 miles and charging peaks at 102 kilowatts. That's lunch break territory, not kill 2 hours at the mall territory. The warranty tells you everything you need to know about Hyundai's confidence. 10 years or 100,000 miles on the battery. They're basically saying, this thing will outlast your car payments by half a decade. Compare that to brands that offer the legal minimum and hope you forget. Here's what separates this from everything else. It qualifies for state and local incentives that other EVs miss. Depending on where you live, the effective price can drop under $25,000, Suddenly you're comparing this to a Corolla or Civic, except your fuel costs are basically zero and maintenance is an oil change you never need to do. The handling surprised car and driver enough that they clocked the 0 to 60 at 6.4 seconds. You're not drag racing, but merging onto highways and passing slow traffic feels effortless. But that's not even the most interesting part. 4. Volkswagen ID4. Back in 2021, everyone wanted an ID4. Supply couldn't keep up with demand. Then software issues made headlines. Then people moved on. Which means right now, these are sitting on lots with actual discounts and nobody's paying attention. The ID4 delivers something most affordable EVs don't: real space. This isn't a compact pretending to be roomy. The back seat accommodates full-size adults. The cargo area could probably hide a body if you needed it to. Not that I'm suggesting that, but the point stands. It's sized like a Tiggan, which for VW people, that comparison lands. Range varies by configuration, but the rear-wheel drive model hits 275 miles EPA. The Pro SAWD drops to 255 miles but adds legitimately capable all-wheel drive for winter states. That VW all-wheel drive system has been refined through decades of making GTIs and Golf Rs handle properly. 3 years of free charging at Electrify America stations comes standard. People forget to calculate that value. If you road trip even occasionally, that's hundreds of dollars you're not spending. The network isn't perfect, no charging network is, but it's expanding and generally reliable. The software complaints? Early cars had issues. Updates fixed most of them. Some owners still grumble. But name any modern car where absolutely nobody complains about the touchscreen interface. I'll wait. 5. Mazda MX-30. I can already hear people typing angry comments. The MX-30 with its pathetic 100-mile range? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Let me explain before you click away. This vehicle makes zero sense as a road tripper or sole vehicle for a suburban family. The 100-mile EPA rating is honestly embarrassing in 2024. But for a specific type of buyer, someone with a short commute, home charging, and a second car for longer trips, this might actually be brilliant. Mazda built an EV that drives like a Mazda first and an EV second. The interior is genuinely premium. Cork trim, materials that feel expensive, attention to detail that most brands gave up on years ago. It feels like a $40,000 vehicle inside, which is relevant because it used to cost close to that. Current reality? Dealers are desperate. You can find these under $25,000 after incentives. At that price, you're buying a luxury city car that happens to be electric, not competing with conventional EVs. The equation completely changes. Those rear-hinged back doors either charm you or annoy you depending on your parking situations. They look distinctive and actually work well for loading cargo in tight spaces. You just need to remember they exist before you walk into them. Is 100 miles enough? If your daily commute is under 40 miles round trip, you'd charge it twice a week and never think about range. It becomes this quiet, smooth, oddly satisfying daily driver that costs pennies to operate. This matters more than people realize. 6. Kia Niro EV. Unlike everything else on this list, the Niro EV doesn't announce itself. It looks like a regular Kia crossover, which is precisely the strategy. Some buyers want to make statements, others just want reliable transportation that doesn't burn dinosaur juice. The Niro EV offers 253 miles of range in a package that feels refreshingly normal. Your parents could drive this without consulting YouTube tutorials. The controls make intuitive sense. The seats stay comfortable on 6-hour drives. That's harder to engineer than flashy gimmicks. Kia front-loaded the standard features instead of forcing you into premium trims for basic stuff. Heated seats, smartphone integration that actually works, a sound system that doesn't sound like a tin can. It's all there from the base model. They learned from Hyundai's playbook. If you want credibility, don't punish people for buying the cheaper version. The driving dynamics won't make enthusiasts weep with joy. This isn't a hot hatch, but it's competent, predictable, comfortable. For a daily commuter, those qualities matter infinitely more than whether it can pull 0.9 lateral Gs on a skid pad. One advantage that separates Kia from everyone else: their dealers actually understand EVs. They're not trying to talk you into hybrids or steer you toward gas models. They trained their people. You can feel the difference when you walk into a showroom. Is that worth the premium over a used Bolt? That depends entirely on whether you value new car warranty and dealer support over raw value. 7. Mini Cooper SE. Most people have never seriously considered a Mini as their primary vehicle. The owners seem perfectly fine with that exclusivity. The Cooper SE is genuinely small, not small for a crossover, but actually small. The 114-mile EPA range is laughable by modern standards. It seats 4 humans theoretically, but those back seats work better for groceries or small dogs. On paper, every practical bone in your body should reject this vehicle. In reality, it's absurdly fun. The instant electric torque makes this little car feel like a caffeinated go-kart. It corners like it's bolted to the pavement. The turning radius means parallel parking becomes almost enjoyable. It's hilarious to drive in ways that most vehicles, EV or otherwise, completely miss. That mini interior charm either works for you or it doesn't. Circular shapes everywhere, toggle switches that feel premium, ambient lighting that's thoughtful instead of tacky. It feels special in ways a Nissan Leaf objectively doesn't, which matters if you're spending money on something beyond pure transportation. Here's the thing about limited range. If your daily driving averages 50 miles or less, you never care. You charge it twice a week at home. The rest of the time, you're grinning like an idiot because driving stopped being a chore and started being entertainment. Pricing hovers around $30,000 after incentives. That's significant money for something this compromised. But compromise isn't always negative. Sometimes it just means the vehicle knows exactly what it is. The window might not stay open forever. 8. Fiat 500e. My cousin had a Fiat and it was a nightmare. Yeah, I've heard that story. Everyone's cousin had a nightmare Fiat. But the old 500e, the compliance car Fiat only sold because California regulations forced them to, and the new 2024 500e are completely different machines. The new 500e is legitimately adorable, which sounds like damning with faint praise but genuinely isn't. In a market where every vehicle looks aggressive or angry, the 500e looks friendly. It's expressive without being cartoonish. The design simply works. Range sits at 149 miles, which for dedicated city use, that's plenty. Fast charging hits 80% in roughly 30 minutes. Home charging overnight is painless. You wake up to a full battery like your phone, except this one takes you places. The interior surprises people. Better materials than expected. A clean layout, excellent visibility. It drives with that playful Italian character. Light, responsive, eager to change directions. You can feel someone actually cared about the steering calibration. There's a documented case of a Rome taxi driver who hit 180,000 kilometers on their 500e with only tires and 1 brake pad replacement. That's the beauty of electric powertrains. Fewer things to break, especially when it's not a complicated German design with 12 sensors monitoring sensor performance. Pricing starts around $32,000, but dealers negotiate because Americans still don't trust Fiat. Fair enough, the brand earned that skepticism, but this time might actually be different. 9. Chevrolet Bolt EV, 2020 to 2022 used market, 75%. That number changes everything. Used Chevrolet Bolts from 2020 to 2022 depreciated approximately 75% in some markets after battery recall news went viral. Panic spread. Prices collapsed. Then GM replaced virtually every affected battery with brand new ones. For free. Think about what that means. 3-year-old Bolt EVs are driving around with brand new battery packs, full remaining warranty, selling for under $15,000. For the price of a used Civic, you're buying an EV with 259 miles of range that's been essentially refurbished by the manufacturer. The math is bonkers. The battery, the single most expensive component, is new. Everything else was already proven reliable before the recall drama. You're buying a refreshed vehicle at panic sale prices because people have short memories and scared easily. Mechanics say the Bolt is one of the simpler EVs to service when something does go wrong, which is rare. No fancy air suspension, no gimmicky door mechanisms, just an electric motor, battery pack, and standard car components. Simplicity ages gracefully. The catch exists. Verify the battery replacement was completed. Get documentation. Confirm the work was done properly. But if it was, you're essentially buying a reset vehicle at fire sale pricing because the general public moved on. This might be the single best value in the used EV market right now. And here's where most buyers get burned. They don't even look because they heard recall and kept scrolling. 10. BYD Dolphin International Markets. I saved this one for last because it represents something bigger than just another affordable EV. BYD Build Your Dreams is a Chinese manufacturer most Americans have never heard of. They're the world's largest EV manufacturer by volume, not Tesla, not Volkswagen, BYD. They moved over 3 million EVs last year, and the Dolphin is one of their highest volume models globally. The Dolphin delivers 211 to 340 miles depending on battery configuration. Costs the equivalent of $14,000 to $18,000 in China, and features build quality that legitimately competes with established brands. It's not a penalty box. It's not a compromise. It's just a competent electric car that does what most people actually need. But I can't buy one in America. Correct. Not yet. BYD is expanding aggressively into Europe and other markets. They're building factories in Mexico. The probability of these vehicles arriving in North America within a few years is high. When they do, they'll completely reshape the affordable EV conversation. The technology is legitimately impressive. BYD manufactures their own batteries, blade batteries that integrate structurally and show excellent safety records. They control their entire supply chain vertically, which explains how they maintain low costs. They're not trying to be premium. They're trying to make EVs accessible. Legacy automakers are genuinely nervous about BYD, which tells you everything. When established brands start lobbying against competition, that competition is probably legitimate. The Dolphin and vehicles like it represent where the budget EV market is heading: capable, affordable, unavoidable. This isn't speculation. BYD sold more EVs last quarter than most brands sell total vehicles. They're coming. When they arrive stateside, everyone on this list will need to adjust their pricing or add more value. That's excellent for consumers. That's excellent for the EV market. That's excellent for everyone except companies that got comfortable. Budget EVs don't mean cheap EVs. They mean smart EVs. These 10 vehicles prove you can go electric without liquidating your retirement account. The Bolt EUV and Kona Electric offer practical crossover versatility. The Mini Cooper SE and Fiat 500e deliver city car charm. The used Bolt market offers stupid good value if you're not afraid of history. And the BYD Dolphin? It represents the future knocking on our door. Which one fits your life? That depends on your commute, your charging situation, your tolerance for compromise. Drop a comment and tell me which one you'd actually buy, or if I missed any hidden gems. Smash that subscribe button if you want more honest vehicle content without the marketing fluff. And remember, the best EV isn't the one with the coolest brand name. It's the one that fits your life and your budget. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.